Other than Kho Kho, your passion, of course, as I mentioned, I know you play badminton as well. But what are those sports that you've indulged in and you probably say, I love watching this game?
Well, I always played a couple of games. I mean, I was hockey captain in school. Then in college, I was badminton captain. I played basketball for school. I actually played seven games for school. But then dabbling in politics also led to my restrictions. But I played tennis very extensively. Badminton I still play. It's a passion. So sports has always been my passion.
So thank you so much for your time. Of course, it's an honor to share the platform on the basis of sports.
Well, that's my current passion. So that's the only platform I would like to share now.
I mean, sports is such a platform which obviously, I feel such an honor and privilege to be a sports person because, I always say that when India wins, we all rejoice and the nation celebrates. And I can proudly say that as a cricketer, of course, and as a sportsman, that when India wins, we just celebrate.
Actually, I look at sports from a different dimension.
True.
For every child or every person who plays sports, the core fundamental development of his personality is his capacity to play and play fairly.
Yes.
He is capable of winning and he is capable of losing. And in both the situations, the right balance which should be maintained in life, that's what he learns out of sports. For me, it was always the greatest stress buster. All the worries were out there and the sheer pleasure of playing the game was something which kept me going all throughout my life.
Sir, you are definitely a senior in all fields of our life. You've been from SRCC. I'm a Stephanian. Where also you've been obviously much senior. I was not even born when you were in uniform.
The advantage is there was no competition. SRCC did not have the courses which Stephens has. And Stephens didn't have commerce, so I was a commerce graduate.
Yeah, I can fairly say that because when I went to college to seek admission, so I was told I must take economics honors, and late Dr. Arnold Wilson at that time as the principal, he said, better you take some other course. So I went to SRCC thinking, but then SRCC said that it's okay. So by the end of it all, I went to history in St. Stephens, and then since that time it's like SRCC, all right, so there is always a healthy space and a place for every good institution.
Absolutely.
But because obviously you've studied in the reputed institutions, and when you spoke about the balance, when you look at the sport today, of course we are getting newer games around. When you look at the sport today, do you feel that balance has been maintained?
There are a few misnomers which I think need to be cleared when it comes to sports and sports administration. The typical stereotyping is sports administrators are bad, they are self-serving, and they thrive at the cost of players. Now, this unfortunately is not a very objective analysis of the situation. Yeah. Every basket has bad apples.
Yes.
But that does not mean that the basket does not have apples.
True.
There are good apples also. And that basket is only worth it if there are apples.
True.
If there are no apples, then the basket would be empty.
True.
Similarly in sports, there are people you could raise your fingers about, but then there are people who have worked hard to make sports what they are today in India.
100%.
So the stereotype must change. The stereotype that a player makes a good sports administrator is also not a fair proposition. Yes, there are some who would do that, but that's not a rule. Because what is required as an administrator are completely different things than what is the requirement of a person to excel in sports. Having said so, I think education is critical in administration from the perspective of perspectives. The global growth of sports has given us a canvas which is huge. And to assimilate the width of the canvas requires a lot of intellectual, I would say, accomplishments. So, good education helps. Today, if I was to say that in the quest of medals, what is it that is critical? Then the criticality is that between excellence and podium, the journey is of sports sciences. And to understand this, you need a different mindset. Physiology, psychology and nutrition have become so advanced and so scientific that they really bring out the best of a player by identifying the gaps and addressing them. And that's what makes winners. So, sports ecosystem has changed drastically in the last 10 years. And I think we need to keep pace with all of that.
Sir, in addition to just what you said, which is so valuable, you know, sports and education, how it can be used as an excelling platform. When you're talking about so many sports leagues which have come in, and I belong to a game called cricket, which of course has changed the landscape of the sport completely, and especially with the league that we do in India. Would you say, looking at prior to the leagues happening and now the leagues happening, and Kho Kho also has its own league, would you say that it has changed the landscape in a better way, or would you say that only a certain segment is getting benefited, maybe not everyone?
No, I would say leagues have changed the entire landscape of sports in India. Why India? It's global.
Global.
You see, that phrase, "Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai," is so relevant in terms of sports. A lot of sports which hetu would never have achieved the levels which they are today at, it's only because of the leagues which have been there. Cricket,
yes,
in comparison to what it was earlier, today is a religion in India. And that has been accelerated and accentuated by the league, the IPL.
Yeah.
So leagues have certainly played a part. And look, the commerce of the league have brought so much of technology, so much of advancement, so much of welfare for the sportsman as well as the game. So leagues have really become the backbone of promotion of games in the country. I mean, for myself, when I look at it, the ultimate Kho Kho, which has turned out to be a fantastic league after 2 seasons, and a kind of engagement which spans to 229 million engagements. It's a huge accomplishment, and dreams are born.
Yeah.
See, these leagues have given visibility, they've created stars, they have given them money, they've created dreams in the eyes of players of those particular sports. So globally, the live events have always drawn maximum viewership. And live events relate to sports. So globally, sports live events have drawn maximum viewership. And that's true here also.
So when we look at the leagues and we look at the advancement of the sports, we also have a balance to maintain, which is about corporates associating with athletes through the year basis. And initially, when I started playing, there used to be many more corporates offering full-time jobs to sports people. Nowadays, will you still say, or because you're obviously watching the game from all angles as an administrator, you've been a sports person yourself, you still play badminton, and when you say like you need somebody who's given up playing but also needs as a recruitment, to be extended to that player.
You see, I guess there the government's intervention is much required.
Okay.
Why do I say that? The rules of engagement for CSR spending in sports need a change. You know, that money could have been the accelerator for development of sports. Look, there are serious 30, 40 games which are played, the serious kinds.
Yeah.
So just imagine if 40 corporates of India were to adopt one game each and fund those games. Where would we be? You know, there are okay, BCCI cricket, that's a different league. That is not the case study. The case study is how sports administered in India for non-cricketing sports. The federations find it so difficult to meet out their expenses because there's no institutional support. It all depends on the individual who's heading it. If he's resourceful enough, he will get it. If he's not, then, sports. So what we need to do is to institutionalize corporate support to sports. And that is where the nursery of the growth of individual games will flourish.
Absolutely, and I think that used to be there as well. But I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
is
now the budget goes to advertising on cricket.
Sir, believe me, it is not the easiest to do. Either it is unreachable or it is probably the word is unscalable for corporates. So that's how they put it around. But I've obviously been watching Kho Kho come about in the last couple of years, especially because, as you mentioned, it has been on television. But one thing which has come in, which I can fairly say that, the sport has got onto the moving train, not on the moving bus, is with sports science.
Yes.
How did you manage that?
I mean, we have a very interesting journey. See, we started with mitti.
Right.
We took it to mat. तो जो मिट्टी का सौंधापना था ना, उसको हम मैट से फिर विश्व भर में ले गए. और विश्व भर में ले जाने के लिए, to make it global, what was very critical was the excellence in sports sciences. See, all the other games have had the advantage of having a lot of research done globally. And all these games have basically imbibed those researches. Because these are all games which are born not in India. None of the games are in India. They're all born outside and they are now adopted in India. We understood the need. And we also understood I just mentioned that the distance between excellence and podium in sports sciences, I understood it from very, very, very early. So we invested heavily into developing physiology, sports psychology, and sports nutrition. We've developed special suits. When we assess the players, it's not on the basis of static movements or simulated movements on static machines. No. We've got these suits where they play and the data is streamed. So we are able to do a 3D mapping of every player, which gives us muscle strength, ligament twist, the bend, the ankle twist, the knee twist, all kind of data to really look at the gaps. And then to concentrate his training on filling those gaps. Similarly, our nutritional program maps the requirement for each meal. So if he's practicing, what is the meal requirement? When he's in a recovery mode, what is the meal requirement? And if he's in a non-playing mode, what is the meal requirement? And we match it to his palate. That's critical. It's like, भाई असम के लड़के को आप जो है इडली सांभर खिला रहे हैं, वो नहीं चलेगा. ऐसी sports psychology, very few people realize that like your physical fitness, your mental fitness is equally critical for your success. We've invested in that and we have an elaborate program. Apart from this, something which we discovered was that the personality development of players is critical. So we got stylists to do them up, make them look good, and we gave them mock sessions on television and on radio to develop their confidence in facing the camera, to develop their communication skills. The Guru Mantra was, speak in the language you know. Don't speak in English, don't speak in Hindi. It's the anchor's job to tell the viewers what you are saying. You say what you want to say in the language you are comfortable with. And look at our players. They are never camera shy. The kind of confidence they elude when they are before the camera is phenomenal. And they feel that they are stars themselves, They don't suffer from complexes. So all these things have added to developing a different culture in Kho Kho about how they have to develop themselves.
Sir, is this program or are these initiatives run round the year? Is it like when it's like a contracted player throughout the year he or she is mapped like this?
You see, these are camp based. We have elite players which is round the year based. So it's different for different players. These require a lot of resources. So naturally you prioritize, and you prioritize it for the elite athletes. Then we'll take it down.
When we spoke about mitti se mat, obviously it's our game, and how we mastered the game. I won't want to say with certainty, but it won't be an easy journey for a player who plays without shoes on mitti and plays it as a comfort zone, and then that player comes on the mat. Is it very easy?
The adaptability is very easy.
Oh, okay.
The only thing was they never had an opportunity. So they were without shoes because there was no opportunity of wearing the shoe.
Okay.
The moment the mat came, and the moment the shoe was tailor-made for their requirements, that's it. It was easy. The transition was easy.
Okay.
The development was very difficult. See, the mat is a very specialized mat. It has a requirement of prevention of injury.
Yes.
If you've seen the players, Kho Kho players have a dive, and there's a skydive. They're floating in the air, and when they land on the chest or on the shoulder. So they're prone to injuries. So I needed a surface which had the softness to prevent injuries, but not soft enough to prevent them from their speed. So the density of the mat was a very, very critical element. So we experimented with some 20-25 mats, and then we were able to come to that perfect combination of softness with speed. Similarly, other things have happened. All the developments which have taken place have been on a hit and trial basis, because this is something we have developed ourselves.
So how pleased are you when you look back at the journey and say, obviously it started from a thought, the seed was planted, and before it started bearing the fruit, or before when we realized that we can actually host nations in India for a World Cup, from ideation to implementation wouldn't have just happened like that. I'm sure a lot of food for thought, planning would have gone into it.
Yes, certainly it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, you have to understand, taking an Indian sport to 55 countries is a mammoth job. It's a monumental effort. That we could do it is a different story. But, the adaptation of an Indian sport in all these countries, I must mention here that the players who are playing this game are not the Indian diaspora settled there.
Yeah.
These are natives of those countries. So if it's Germany, it's the Germans playing. If it's Peru, it's the Peruvians who are playing. It's the Argentinians who are playing, South Africans who are playing, Kenyans who are playing, the Dutch are playing it. So, or the Koreans, or the Malay, or the Indonesians. So we have concentrated on having this game being adopted by the natives of those countries. Today we are in 55 countries, we will be in 90 countries by the end of 25. Because we have to be in Olympics in 32.
Wow.
And for sure in Asian Games in 30. Now we Indians like gold. Let's get those golds.
It's turning a bit expensive these days, but we'll manage it.
Yeah. That gold comes only with hard work and no money. So let's have that gold,
I think so. The numero uno position in itself, when we miss it, we know what we have missed. But when we get it, that smile, as I always feel that, the nation smiles when one person celebrates that gold medal or that number one position. But it's not the easiest of task. Having said that, when you say that we're looking at the Olympics, that means we are very close to showcasing the sport to the world. That's why they'll probably look at the fact that yes, we must have Kho Kho in 32 or 36.
Yes, so this World Cup which is being organized is a benchmark event in technology, in organization, in Indian hospitality, in every dimension of organizing. It's going to be a benchmark event. Our app is not an information app.
Yeah.
Generally, all these apps are games information systems. Ours is a games management system. So the entire game is being conducted without paper. So the TSR system, the review system, all is state of art, completely matching with any other international game. You know, when we started thinking about globalizing the game, the first thing was to see how telegenic is it going to be. What's going to be a spectator's experience. And we tailor-made the game for an outstanding spectator interest. We reduced the size of the court. There were 9 players who were playing at a time. We reduced it to 7 because we wanted to capture the entire action in one frame. We've changed the rules. We've made it very exciting by introducing the concept of a vizier. So a lot of changes have taken place just to make it very exciting.
And by you being there at the International Olympic Association, does that make it a slightly advantageous position for India or for you? Or will you say that because you're there, you're able to influence all these changes and maybe get them
I'm
to
not in
adapt?
the International Olympic Association, but I am there in the International Kho Kho Federation.
International
So I head it.
Okay.
So you see, rules of a game are always governed by the international body of that game.
Yeah.
So because I head the international body,
Okay.
the advantage was we could push these changes very fast.
And they are very open to adapting to these as well.
These are the global standards today.
Right. So basically India is actually leading that.
Right. Apna game, apni mati,
For home
or wish.
But sir, very quickly, obviously, you know, you have been a sports person and you obviously keep it on a back burner. But other than Kho Kho, your passion, of course, as I mentioned, I know you play badminton as well. But what are those sports that you've indulged in and you probably say, I love watching this game?
Well, I always played a couple of games. I mean, I was hockey captain in school. Then in college, I was badminton captain. I played basketball for school. I actually played seven games for school. But then dabbling in politics also led to my restrictions. But I played tennis very extensively. Badminton, I still play. It's a passion. So sports has always been my passion.
And I know, apart from business as well, you've always taken out time to play the sport. Before coming into Kho Kho, did you ever have an opportunity to align yourself with any other sport? Maybe not in such a big magnitude.
I was a part of the administration of basketball, and then Kho Kho. Initially in '90, I was a part of the archery.
So you've been around sports.
So I've been around sports for a long time, but never very indulgent in the administrative side of it. But once I came into this, then I said, might as well make the best use of it.
So you feel Kho Kho is in the right direction?
Kho Kho is a winner.
Super.
Right direction is an understatement.
Okay. Kho Kho.
And as I said, we have dreams. We are spreading our wings. And I must tell you, we'll succeed.
We are just hopeful for that as well because we love success. What is that one thing probably you can say, because you have actually adapted and adopted everything which is already happening in the world of sports, in broadcasting as well. What is that one thing that you'll say that, you know, Kho Kho has taken a step forward which others would want to follow and maybe...
I think sports sciences.
Okay.
We are 2 generations ahead of others. It's a tall statement, but that's a true statement.
Okay.
And I think India needs that. We have to be in the cutting edge technology for sports sciences if we want winners. And I'm sure we all want winners. We wish them all luck. But adopt the latest in sports sciences and then you'll have winners.
Is it that easy?
It's easy. I think it's once you know what it is.
Do we have the facility in India to have
see,
all that?
It's what we need to do is to get into knowledge sharing. We must know what are the best global practices and how they happen. And we have to institutionalize those associations. You know, buying hardware is easy. Updating it with technology which is cutting edge is far more difficult. That's what we need and that's what will make us winners.
So when I always run between the wickets, I can always tell my partner, yes, go. Now the lines need to change?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You'll find that every movement, once it is mapped on a 3D basis, there's so much else you can tell your partner.
That's let's go.
That's the game. That's the preparatory game which will teach you your reflexes, your agility, your speed, your stamina, and your strategy. Do that.
Absolutely, because as a sports person,
Yeah.
I think growing up sports person, you tend to indulge into sports. I've also played Kho Kho, but only on the ground. I will not say that I played it on the mati. I've played it on the ground, like many other sports as well. But sir, it's really been a privilege and an honor to have Kho Kho come into our country at such a global level. Kho Kho has always been in the country, but to have so many people come in and take this game to the global level, thanks to the hard work of your
our
team.
motto right now is, the word goes Kho. The word goes Kho. The word goes Kho. And that's it.
And we shall keep following that as well. It's we just hope and pray that Kho Kho keeps leading the way.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you. It's been a privilege.
Thank you, sir.